Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly, and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, we're going to be diving into some of the recent analysis with the crash that we saw inside of the market. I have some major updates that I want to bring you guys with Bitcoin, Ethereum, as well as taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart. We need to know exactly where the markets are headed so that we can set ourselves up to make the biggest profit potential long term. I've been talking about this major correction to be happening inside the markets for the last month now, and now that we have this opportunity, it's a great opportunity to look for low leverage longs, other altcoin positions, and knowing exactly when to jump back into the market is going to be what sets ourselves up to make a lot of profits over the closing of this year. If you're new and just finding this channel, always remember to do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to the channel for more updates. Always remember to click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos like the one provided for you here. And make sure you guys sign up and join the Discord server of over 21,000 members and growing. This is where you're going to be able to congregate with the rest of my community, share your own thoughts on the market. Links are provided for you in the description for those that want to sign up. On top of that, if you guys want extra educational content to teach you guys some of the more basic fundamental principles on how to be more profitable, you can also download my free ebook by finding the link in the description. It's free, not going to cost you anything, but I know it's going to help you guys out tremendously, so check it out. And with all that being said, guys, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, so we're going to talk about some basic technical analysis. We're going to talk about price action alone for this video. I want to analyze, really give you guys levels, what we can expect to see based off of what the price is giving us right now. Now, first things first, let's dive into this Bitcoin chart and let's actually talk about what has happened over the last couple of days. Now, pretty much what I was telling you guys to watch out for in my last major update was this level here at about $47,000. I said that as long as we could hold above this level, that would be bullish. This would just be a back test before we end up going higher. But as you guys can see, we didn't actually hold above that level, and this level became resistance. And so we've had multiple rejections right here, about 3 different rejections inside of this move. And we're starting to get more bearish continuation from here. And so now it's important to understand, how do we go ahead and play the market from here? What do we need to look for? What are some next targets that we need to watch for? And so I'm going to go through here and just give you guys exactly what I'm personally going to be looking for when it comes to trading this market. So let's drive it into the shorter time frames. Let's get a clearer understanding of what is taking place. So we got rejected off of this level here at about 47K, right? Just under it. We've been rejected a couple different times, and now we're getting bearish continuation. So obviously speaking, from this standpoint, it looks very bearish. This looks like we're going to get another big sell-off. But the question is, where is this next sell-off going to take us? So really, guys, we have one major level that I want to analyze right here, and this is going to be the previous support of this initial sell-off, right? So when we first had the top and we made this big sell-off right here in this big red candle, we came down and retested just under 43,000. So our next major level that we need to be watching for is actually going to be the retest of this first sell-off. So this wick at the very low here at 43,000, just slightly under, right? And so this is really where I'm going to be watching for our first major point for a bounce. Oftentimes what you can see inside of a market, after the first major sell-off, you'll get a kind of chop period before we end up coming back down and retesting that same support level. Because keep in mind, guys, here we had this big sell-off, but this is a pretty massive wick in here. That tells me that there was a lot of buyers that stepped back into the market, especially down here at this low. And so this is going to be the next area of demand that we need to target for. Now, another thing to understand is we need to come over here and take a look at the Fibonacci. Now, with Fibonacci, oftentimes a gray area of reaccumulation after any major impulse, especially inside of a bull run, is going to be over here at this 618 level, right? The 618 is the golden ratio, technically the 1.618, but nonetheless, the 618 is oftentimes where you're going to see the market end up retracing to after a sustained bull rally. So if we come over here, let's draw a green line and let's remove our Fibonacci. And this is going to be our 618 region, right? Somewhere right around here at about $38,000. Now, this is kind of what I've been watching out for the last month. I knew at some point we were going to get a correction in here, and this correction was going to give us the opportunity to jump back into the market. Where that correction was going to take us was to be foretold and to be seen, but here we are seeing that resistance Well, I should say support here at 47,000 is becoming resistance. So our next area of demand is going to be down here at the bottom of this wick. The bottom of this wick is also going to be taking us to pretty much the low end of this accumulation that we saw here. Once all of this bearish divergence started forming, which technically it started forming at this first little high at about July the 30th, we've had bearish divergence throughout this entire period, indicated right here. We had this quick rally up. This was deviation. This was also deviation from our descending resistance on the RSI. It was a bull trap, and then we sold off really hard shortly after. And so now, we've pretty much came down, retested the first of these first lows that we saw here. And now, in my opinion, we're going to be seeing what takes place next. I really wouldn't be surprised if we end up dropping all the way to 40. I really wouldn't be surprised if we see us drop all the way down here to 38,000. And really what I'm going to be watching for is something along the lines of this. Some quick ranging and something like this if we end up holding support at about, 43,000 approximately. Now keep in mind, guys, even though we had our first sell-off and retag this level, we can continue to see us hold support of this level. We don't necessarily have to go all the way to 38,000, but if this level does become resistance, then we would expect a quick stab all the way down, probably something like this, and then we'd go back up again. And so that's going to be my bearish scenario. So if we do end up making this 43,000 level resistance, I would expect a quick drop all the way down to about 38K. And that's really where we're going to be looking for a lot of new positions. Any point throughout here, once we start retesting somewhere around 43,000, that, in my opinion, is going to be a good opportunity to get back in, get in at the lows. And then if this does become resistance, we can hedge ourselves, or what I'm personally going to be doing is just keeping extra cash on the sidelines by looking to target one more drop in price. That's kind of what I'm going to be watching for. I really wouldn't want to see us go below this 38,000 level. If that happens, that's going to show a lot of weakness. And in my opinion, that's going to be a pretty bad scenario for the bullish case. So this is really what I'm going to be watching out for with Bitcoin. All this is on the bigger picture, nothing to worry about. I think that this is simply a good opportunity of getting back in. There was a lot of late FOMO buyers. Something I tried to warn you guys about was simply just waiting for a correction. If you've been sitting on the sidelines with cash, there's no sense of FOMO buying up here at resistance after such a large move on the upside. You're better off waiting for a correction because literally, guys, this happens every single time. In any sort of major uptrend, you're going to get a correction, right? Yes, the corrections didn't happen nearly as often inside of this big impulse, but you guys got to remember that you had this entire length of time to be accumulating your Bitcoin, right? And so this was a massive markup that we saw. So it makes sense why you're not going to get a massive sell-off. But in this sort of range, this is different, right? This is coming after a sustained correction. This is our first impulse off of the lows. And so now that we're seeing this correction, a lot of people are shaking out. A lot of people are going to be sitting here calling for this being a massive ABC correction. I've already seen it on Twitter. People are calling this a big ABC, and it's going to go all the way back down to $10,000. This is to be expected after any sustained length of correction that we see inside of market. There's going to be a lot of weak hands that simply aren't going to be ready for this type of an uptrend to begin. This is the first major breakout past the all-time highs, right? And so now that we've already got a bounce off of the lows, this is us flipping the previous resistance as support, right? So this was resistance here. Down here at 41K, you could draw it all the way down to somewhere around here at about 38K even. This was our previous resistance inside of this accumulation. Now we've had a break past that, and this is us flipping it as support. This is your classic example of a support and resistance flip. And this is what's ultimately going to be taking us into new all-time highs. So whether it bottoms here at 43,000, whether we peak a little bit below and go to 38,000, this shouldn't frighten you guys in any sort of sense. This should merely be an opportunity to accumulate more crypto. And if you don't have cash, if you bought the top, no sense in selling off right now. You're better off just holding. And that's the biggest bit of advice, guys. We remember where this is going to be taking us. We all know that if we analyze the gold fractal, I'm going to just keep sharing with you guys this chart because I think it's very, very important for everybody's trading plan moving forward. You need to understand what is going to be taking place big picture. And what is taking place big picture is the exact same thing that actually happened to gold back in its first major rally. This was after they had the ban on gold. They confiscated all of the American gold from citizens, and then they proceeded to pump the price of gold once they let them rebuy back into that market. And so this is literally the same thing that we're going to be seeing taking place. And it amazes me how similar these two cycles actually are. And this is literally what I'm going to continue to base my analysis off of, is this same gold fractal. Because not only was gold finishing a 4-wave correction after its first break of the all-time highs, but then what happened to gold after was the final blow off top of the cycle. And guess what, guys? Gold also peaked January the 1st, the end of the year. This is a very major pivot point inside of cycles. And this is what we're going to see continued from here. Now, keep in mind, guys, we could see this drop a little bit. You know, we could see it come back down to 38K before going up. But regardless, this is the trend that it's going to be following. And so we know big picture, this is what's going to be coming. We know that Bitcoin is headed to 200K plus. This is something I'm very confident in saying. And so with this correction, after we've already broken from the accumulation lows, why wouldn't you use this opportunity as a way to get back in the market? That's what makes the most sense to me. That's where I think we're going to make a lot of money, is by simply having the conviction, knowing where we're going to be at the end of the year, and being able to continue to re-enter new positions when the opportunity arises. You don't want to be buying when the market's going up. You want to be buying when you get corrections in the market, because that's your discounted opportunity. It's like going to the store and seeing, you know, maybe you need a new lawnmower or something, and you see it 50% off or 30% off. I mean, are you going to just wait, or are you going to buy it at 30% off? Crypto should be the exact same way. The difference is people get scared when they already have investments. It's like if they already held a lawnmower and then the whole price of lawnmowers went down 30%, right? They get worried about that because they think, oh man, it could just go down forever. When really, you want to use that opportunity as a way to reaccumulate. You want to gain more, because then, you know, the prices are going to go back up again. You're going to be able to resell that, and then you got one at the discount, and then you have one that you can sell at a markup. And so crypto's the same way. The only difference is most people don't hold 2 lawnmowers and need to flip 2 lawnmowers, but they're holding Bitcoin. And when their Bitcoin holdings go down with the market, instead of thinking, oh, wow, I need to buy more, I can reaccumulate, I can pretty much strengthen my portfolio, they think, oh, no, what if this is the end? What if I'm going to lose all of my money? And then they get all emotional about it. Guys, we know that what is stacking up is going to be the biggest cycle at the end of the year. We need to be prepared for this. And the only way you prepare for that is by having the conviction to actually accumulate when the market is down, right? So this is what we're getting, guys. We're probably most likely, in my opinion, going to get one more low. You know, whether we end up bottoming at 43,000 or whether we end up shooting back down to 38, it literally doesn't matter. Both of these scenarios are great for buying opportunities. So in my opinion, if you have cash, I would prepare for both of these. If we get an extended correction down to 38, I would have cash ready to buy. Find your favorite altcoins, find the altcoins that have held the most strength, and then accumulate those, right? That's what I'm going to be watching for. Now let's actually dive into the Bitcoin dominance chart, because the Bitcoin dominance is doing something very important. Now, this is generally what's going to happen every major correction. Bitcoin is going to correct, altcoins are going to correct more, right? Because of that, the Bitcoin dominance is going to continue to rise. When the Bitcoin dominance rises after a major correction, what ends up happening is Bitcoin finds a bottom, Bitcoin breaks out. When Bitcoin finds the bottom and breaks out, it usually does this much greater than the altcoins do. The altcoins can go for one more low, the altcoins can kind of stagnate and go sideways, and then they have to wait for Bitcoin to continue to go up in its uptrend before more conviction, before more confidence comes back into the market. And what we can see here forming on the shorter time frames of the Bitcoin dominance is a massive bullish divergence. We can see that we were kind of rounding out in price. We rallied up at the initial correction, and then we made one more recent low. Now, inside of that low, we're actually seeing a higher high on the RSI, which tells me momentum is actually swinging in the bullish favor, right? We had a lower low in price. The bears knocked us down for one more low, yet the RSI itself is making higher highs. That shows that the momentum is actually gaining for the bullish favor. Now, if we zoom it out on the daily time frame, we can still see that bullish divergence, but we're in a much bigger downtrend, right? And so when it comes down to this type of a move, we should expect to see the Bitcoin dominance start to break up. And most likely, I could see it rally back up to about 45%. And from here, we would want to see it continue to drop. We don't want to see this continue to uptrend. And I don't necessarily think it's going to, because if we zoom it out on an even bigger scale, remember what we've kind of been watching for as a whole is the potential that this is going to be falling to new lows. We're going to get a massive alt season to close out the end of the year. A lot of the altcoin Bitcoin pairs are looking very bullish. We want to see them continue to break out. Many of those have just been downtrending for the last 3 years. We really need to see those start to make a major move on the upside, which in my opinion, when it comes down to the final blow off top of the cycle, and we're seeing this type of a move from Bitcoin as we go major parabolic, I would expect to see the altcoins outperform because this is going to be euphoria. A lot of retail money is going to be flooding into the market. When retail comes flooding in, they're not looking for a $100,000 Bitcoin to buy. They don't want to own fractions of a Bitcoin. They want to be able to go buy, numbers of different altcoins. They want to buy these shares, right? They're going to be looking for XRP. They're going to be looking for some of these other cryptocurrencies that have yet to really take off. And that's kind of what I think is happening right now. Yes, we are going to get some short-term relief inside of the Bitcoin dominance, but I don't think that this necessarily means that this is just going to start reversing. I think that this is going to continue to go down into new lows as we close out the end of the year. Because, guys, when we just look at this from face value, what has Bitcoin dominance been in since the beginning of time, basically? A downtrend. What is it doing now? It's still just downtrending. This was a massive lower high. Now, this is becoming the lower low in the cycle. We're going to see this drop. We're going to see a massive alt season, in my opinion, to close out the end of the year. And this is where it's going to be taking place. But on the shorter time frames, we are going to get some relief. This is what happens after a major correction. Bitcoin, like I said, will correct. Altcoins will correct more. And then when Bitcoin finds a bottom and breaks out, altcoins usually stagnate or go for a lower low. And so we should expect to see the same thing play out. And in this period of time, we will see a little bit of a balance inside of the Bitcoin dominance. So when we actually scan over here, let's take a look at Ethereum. Let's dive into a bigger time frame because my specific ratio for where I'm targeting re-entry for Ethereum is going to be here from about 29,000, is going to be here from about 2.9 down to $2.6 thousand. This is where I think that this is going to be end up bottoming at. Now, once again, on the shorter time frames, if we follow Bitcoin, what I think could end up happening for Ethereum is we end up making a low. I think that we'd end up, that looks weird. We end up making a low. We end up sweeping just below this initial wick on the sell-off. And then this is going to be the most bullish scenario, right? My bullish scenario is we end up falling down to about 29 or 2.9 thousand. And then from here, we end up going back up and we make some type of a range, right? This is kind of what I would be watching for the most bullish scenario with ETH. We don't end up going into my buy box. We just kind of land directly on top of that. But if that's not going to be the case, then I would expect that we're going to be falling back within this range, right? And the reason I got this range, if we zoom it out a little bit, let's share with you guys where I got this target. So once again, let's pull up the Fibonacci and let's take a look here. The 618 is going to be taking us directly at about $2,600 per ETH. That's where the golden ratio lies. This is generally where you're going to look to target re-entry inside of a bull market after we start correcting from the highs. And this is kind of what I'm going to be watching out for with ETH. I think it's a little bit more likely that we would fall somewhere between the 0.5 and the 618. But, if Bitcoin ends up finding support, let's delete this real quick and zoom in here. If Bitcoin ends up finding support at the bottom of this wick, then we would expect ETH to temporarily break below the wick, but end up holding support still above about $2,900. So this is kind of what I'm going to be watching out for with ETH. Regardless, guys, the same thing can be said amongst Bitcoin and Ethereum. This entire move here that we're seeing is simply just a support and resistance flip of this previous high right here, right? We had this initial sell-off. This became our resistance. We fell to new lows. And this entire uptrend that we saw here was us breaking from that resistance. And now this is us flipping it as support. And so whether we bounce at 2,900, whether we go for a little bit lower of a correction down to 2,600, none of it really matters because all of these scenarios pinpoint that this is simply a support and resistance flip on the macro time frames. And both of these scenarios show that we're going to be going into new all-time highs from here. One quick little analogy before we wrap up today's video. Let's analyze the Elliott waves for Ethereum. So something to understand here, guys, is we've only finished wave 1 and wave 3. The same way with Bitcoin, right? It's very obvious that Bitcoin's only had two major impulses. It's had wave 1 impulse and it's had wave 3 impulse. Ethereum is no different. This was wave 1. This entire move here was wave 3. And we're gearing up for wave 5 in this cycle. Where I personally foresee Ethereum is 15 to 20K. my specific target is 20K. If you guys have been watching the channel, I've been calling for a $20,000 Ethereum since Ethereum was still down here around $200. That's personally where I've been watching for Ethereum to play out, just simply because of the fact Ethereum itself is following the price chart of Bitcoin. It looks just like the Bitcoin cycle that we saw when Bitcoin topped at 1150. It sold off back down to 160. We accumulated sideways, and then we went from 160 to 20,000. Excuse me. Ethereum is following that exact same trend once again. And so when we zoom out here, guys, there's really no way to shake this other than this being a wave 3. Wave 4 is completed, and this is us just kind of continuing up in this 5 wave. I can count the Elliott waves right here for you guys. Wave 1, wave 3, wave 5, right? A, B, C. Then we did the same thing again. Wave 1, wave 3, wave 5, A, B, C. Same thing again, guys. We've only ever finished 3 impulses. Wave 1 and we've only ever finished 2 impulses. Wave 1 and wave 3. Now we need to get the impulse inside of wave 5. This is going to be the euphoric blow off top, guys, right? When we take a look at Bitcoin and we see Bitcoin gearing up for this type of a move, imagine what Ethereum is going to do. Ethereum has all of the NFTs under it. Ethereum has all of the smart contracts. Ethereum's got most of the development and infrastructure under it. And so if Bitcoin is about to do this, I think that ETH is going to do something really crazy, which, you know, ultimately, you guys already know my target's been 20K. That would be pretty crazy, I believe. I mean, let's actually take this chart and let's just analyze it over Ethereum just for fun before we wrap up this video today. And let's just see kind of what that would look like. Because I think that overall these are similar. You know, it's not going to look 100% the same. Obviously, these cycles do look different. But nonetheless, it would look something like this, right? 20K, it would be even a little bit higher than that somehow. About 20K. This is the type of move that we would be expecting to see play out inside of Ethereum, right? The same thing as Bitcoin for the most part, the blow off top. And this is, I'm telling you guys, is going to get really crazy. It's not going to make a whole lot of sense in hindsight, you know, sitting in the right now of the market cycle. Everybody thinks, oh man, there's no way it's just going to go up that fast, even though, you know, we've seen it kind of already do that inside of this move right here. I mean, we saw how quick ETH can go up. We went from 340 bucks, or like 320 approximately. I don't remember the exact low of over here. Yeah, about 315 all the way up here to $4,400. And so to bottom here at, you know, $1,700, it's really not going to be that crazy to see it go all the way up to 20K. In the last cycle for Bitcoin, Bitcoin went from 3,000 to 20,000 within the last 3 or 4 months of the cycle. We should expect the same thing to play out for Ethereum once again. And so, guys, this is the video I had for you. Just wanted to summarize some thoughts and perspectives. Regardless on the shorter time frames, we know where the bigger time frames are going to stack up. We know that we're gearing up for the most profitable point in the cycle. And so this correction that we're seeing is a great opportunity for re-entry. It's a great opportunity to accumulate some of those low leverage longs. So once again, guys, if you found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. If you guys want to know what low leverage longs I'm actually taking, what positions I'm going to be adding to, all of that fun stuff, and most importantly, aside from the positions and the profits, what I'm doing with my profit at the end of the year, when I'm selling, what I'm reinvesting into, all of this stuff, you guys should definitely check out my Discord server, because once again, for the rest of the month, it's going to be over 50% off. You can buy my video course, you can buy my signals, and you can buy my new beginner course, all for the same low rate. This is going to be the biggest sell that I ever do on my Discord. I wanted to get as many people in so that we know exactly how to stay profitable at the end of the year. There's going to be a ton of profit to be had over the next 4 months, but that's not what it necessarily is the most important thing. The most important thing is knowing what to do with those profits at the end of the year. Any idiot can make profit in a bull run, especially a cryptocurrency bull run, but the only people that actually make that profit are the ones that are willing to sell. And knowing how to sell, knowing when to sell, knowing what to do with the profit after you sell is really the most important part of the entire cycle. Because you can reinvest back into crypto and lose all of that just as quick, if not quicker than you actually gained it. And so you guys definitely need to check that out. Links are going to be provided for you in the description that do. There is a free webinar link in the description as well for the people that just want to go watch that. That will cover a little bit more on my profit-taking strategies. So if you guys just want some free value, that video alone is going to help you guys out tremendously. That video alone is going to give you guys a lot of insight for how I'm taking profits. It won't go into details on what I'm reinvesting into or what specific dates or anything like that. But if you guys do want to actually follow along with that, it's free and not going to cost you anything. and I do recommend that you guys watch that at the very least. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.